The rich are not smarter than you. They're just playing a different game. Here's how to catch up. This footage is worth $1 million. Now keep watching if you want to borrow against it. Welcome to our channel, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. When you see these photos, what do you think? Who are the lucky few who got dealt a winning hand in life? Born rich? They had the financial head start that everyone else lacked. The others are left behind. Unfortunately, this narrative is all too common. It's easy to feel bitter when you see others seemingly succeed overnight without putting in the work. Because that's the story they tell themselves anyway. But here's some newsflash. They're not smarter than you. They're just playing a different game. Over the last decade, we've studied the habits of the world's riches and discovered how they use one simple trick to make their money grow without doing anything. And yes, it involves compound interest. Yes, this video is about that again, but we'll show you something new. Trust us, stick around. Now, Albert Einstein called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. The wealthy treat it like a religion, and we're going to show you how. First, let's talk about the three biggest ways the rich use compound interest, and then we'll share how you can use it too. Time times tax efficiency times leverage equals generational wealth. These three variables determine how much wealth you can generate and pass down. Your goal should be to maximize each variable as much as possible. Here's how they do it. First, wealthy individuals and even billion-dollar foundations use structures that legally delay or eliminate taxes for decades. Now, there are many ways to accomplish this, but let's cover the main ones so you can start to wrap your mind around the possibilities. One example is the Roth IRA. For those of you who aren't familiar, it allows you to invest up to $6,500 per year in the United States, and the gains are tax-free. In Canada, the TFSA is similar. And if you max this out starting at age 18, you could have over $1 million by age 65. That's just one example. There are many more, so do your research or ask a professional. But before we move on, let's look at some examples that most of you haven't heard of. Did you know that pension funds like CalPERS, the California Public Employees Retirement System, compound billions of dollars tax-deferred? CalPERS manages approximately $360 billion in assets and invests the money of public school teachers, state workers, and many other government employees. Another great example is the investment arm of universities like Harvard. Their endowment fund grows tax-free with perpetual investing. They received nearly $50 billion in donations in the past decade alone. And with an 8% return, that's over $4 billion a year. A huge point here is that the ultra-rich don't build wealth in the stock market. They build it through private equity and real estate. For instance, BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world, owns roughly 10% of the entire U.S. office building market. That's over $100 billion in property. To put things into perspective, buying a single apartment building can produce more cash flow than 10 rental houses. So how much money do you need to play the game? Laxia, you don't need millions. Let's take a look at this. The median net worth of a family in the top 1% of America is $11 million. However, according to the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances, 30% of the top 1% have less than $2 million in net worth. This means that you only need a few $100,000 to be in the top 1%. Once you get into this elite group, you can start using the best strategies available to grow your wealth. We'll cover these strategies in just a moment. However, first, we need to dispel a myth. When you hear phrases like generational wealth, it's easy to assume that these strategies are reserved for the privileged few. However, this couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, most of the wealthiest people we know didn't inherit a dime. They learned these principles and implemented them. Sure, an inheritance can help, but it isn't necessary. A while back, we spent time with a billionaire named Mark. He's the founder of a luxury resort brand. During our conversation, he shared a valuable insight. He said, "I don't think about money or investments. My team does that for me." The reason he was able to do this is because he mastered strategy number 2, private equity and rental real estate. Want to know a secret? Most of the ultra-wealthy don't build wealth in the stock market. They build it through private equity and real estate. Let's take Mark's company as an example. When he started his business, he didn't take any salaries. Instead, he reinvested the profits back into the business. This allowed him to open more locations and generate more revenue. As the company grew, his ownership stake increased dramatically. Today, Mark owns between 25 and 50% of his company, which is valued at over $500 million. That's just one example. Let's take a look at another one. A study conducted by Credit Suisse found that the average American millionaire has made $2.4 million from real estate. Here's how it works. Say you buy a property for $200,000. You put $20,000 down and finance the rest with a mortgage. The tenant pays rent, which pays your mortgage. Now, here's the kicker. As rents go up, your equity compounds. That's compound interest on someone else's money. All right, moving on to strategy number 3. One of the biggest misconceptions about compound interest is that it only applies to money. However, that's not true. The rich compound ideas and relationships. Every book you read, every mentor you meet, every conference you attend, it all multiplies your returns later. Take Warren Buffett as an example. He doesn't pay himself a salary. In fact, he turned down a $5 million offer from Goldman Sachs, according to Forbes. He's worth $109 billion. How did he do it? By reinvesting his profits and dividends. As a creator, consultant, or freelancer, you can use the same principles. Don't just spend your profits. Reinvest them in income-producing assets or systems. Run ads. Automate your work. Monetize your IP. Remember, consistency beats intensity every single time. Moving on to the final strategy. In addition to tax-sheltered compounding, private equity, rental real estate, reinvesting profits and dividends, the rich also compound relationships and knowledge. Every book you read, every mentor you meet, every conference you attend, it all multiplies your returns later. Take Warren Buffett as an example. He doesn't pay himself a salary. In fact, he turned down a $5 million offer from Goldman Sachs. According to Forbes, he's worth $109 billion. How did he do it? By reinvesting his profits and dividends. As a creator, consultant, or freelancer, you can use the same principles. Don't just spend your profits. Reinvest them in income-producing assets or systems. Run ads. Automate your work. Monetize your IP. Remember, consistency beats intensity every single time. At this point, you might be wondering, how much do I need to start playing the game? Well, the good news is, you don't need millions. In fact, here's how you can start today with just $100. Open a Vanguard app, Charles Schwab, or E-Trade. Set up a Roth IRA or a TFSA if you're in Canada. Automate your investing. Buy one share of SPY or VTI every week, and let compounding interest work its magic. Open a real estate REIT. Invest in rental properties. Start with one room and build from there. Open a master investing account. Invest in companies you understand and hold for the long term. Build a network of creators, collaborate, and cross-promote. These steps might seem basic, but it's the consistency that makes all the difference. Think in decades, not paychecks. Short term, it won't feel like you're getting ahead. But long term, you'll be shocked at the results. If you're ready to start your wealth journey, subscribe for more tips and tricks. We break down money, mindset, and modern freedom step by step. Thank you for watching this video. We're the host. See you next time.